What positive impacts do you think will come from COVID-19? It's already mitigated the stigma associated with working at home. I understand that some people can't handle working from home, but if you can, then it should be allowed. It makes you wonder if the point is to get your job done or to micromanage your every action because you're selling your time rather than your output. A lot more curbside shopping and food options. Yes. I did a curbside pickup from IKEA. Ordered over $1,000 online Friday morning. Drove an hour to the store on Saturday morning. Waited less than 5 minutes to be told which stall to park in, and they brought it all out. Loaded myself in 5-10 minutes and off I went. Cost me $5 to avoid going into IKEA on a Saturday. Plus, if you're shopping alone, what do you do if you have 2 carts of stuff? Or even 1? I have to leave it on the loading area and make a dash for the car and hope no one takes anything? I'll be using it in the future for sure and hope they do keep it going. People might finally start washing their hands. It's only a temporary buff. Once the next generation arrives, it will be forgotten. Seen it happen many times. I think we need to start science a little bit earlier in school. Some people may not agree, but I'm really hoping all the online ordering and contactless delivery keeps going. Mail carrier for USPS, and I wholeheartedly agree with this. Always nice to have validation for what I do for a living. People with the flu cold wearing masks and taking precautions to not infect others. Seriously. Pre-COVID, I can't explain with exasperation the amount of times I've seen people that were clearly sick, coughing, wheezing, and sneezing, just carrying on about their lives like it doesn't affect those around them. I used to work at a Sprint store and a lady brought her sick kid in once. The kid threw up all over the floor. The lady was like, "Oh yeah, we just came from the DR. She's got the stomach flu. Dot. And then you brought her with you so you could upgrade your cell phone and infect everyone in the store?" Doesn't help that I was fairly pregnant at the time and paranoid about catching stuff. I really don't understand some people's choices. My blind GF and I are already seeing more video appointments. This is something she has wanted since forever, since she can't drive. Now, insurance is taking DR and therapy appointments. There are many pickup options for stores at only little or no extra cost. This is good for someone who can't handle walking in the store. I'm mildly physically handicapped and walking over 10 minutes hurts. So this is fantastic for people who are like me and worse. There are more delivery options for people who don't drive. I can see mask wearing while sick becoming more popular in the States even after this settles down, which will help healthy people not get sick as much with colds and help protect the vulnerable who might not handle the everyday cold as well. There's more. But that's my 2 cents. I'm hoping that bathrooms and restaurants will become completely hands-free. I hate that the pull side of the door is on the inside and usually there's no paper towel dispensers anymore to use as a glove to touch the sink door handles. I think people are going to be a lot more conscious of germs and just public surfaces in general. I know for me it's something I think about constantly now. I used to be quite germophobic. During my time at uni I was working on it, and by the end I felt free from constant need to wash my hands and feeling of having my hand plagued by bacteria. To then have the rest of the world turn very concerned with germs. It makes me feel strange because I certainly don't want my old mindset back. Hygiene. I'm usually sick all the time. But I haven't been sick a day since lockdown. We've been open back up for months now with social distancing and extra hygiene measures in place everywhere. It's stunning. My kids haven't been sick either. It's like a miracle. Who knew people's gross hands and spittle was impacting my life so much? I heard from a friend who left on bad terms 5 years ago. I got the most heartfelt apology and we are planning to hang out soon and catch up. It's the best thing that's happened to me all year. Man. I would love for that to happen. I'd have to unblock them though. Have I forgiven them? I'll think about it now thanks to you. Many people are starting to realize that a lot of celebrities are pretty worthless and pathetic when they are not the center of attention for 5 seconds. Especially, American celebrity culture has always been something I hate. Even as a young kid, Like 10-12, I much preferred to watch independent creators on their own platform producing genuinely good content they want to make. It feels more personal than some Hollywood shill trying to be in the spotlight constantly. Drive-in movies making a comeback. Yes, agreed. I hadn't been to a drive-in since the 90s and thankfully they started popping up again here in California, so I was able to watch New Mutants and a bunch of classic actions movies this summer. Sociologically, I hope we see paid sick days become normal in the US. Scientifically, I hope we can learn from this to develop good vaccines for a bunch of other existing diseases that have eluded us so far. In Australia we have paid sick leave, but we don't use them when sick. We keep them for nice days and chuck a sickie and go to the beach. We actually snapped to the celebrity worship mentality for a while. We also see how useless they are in a hindsight and how pathetic they are when not in limelight. I'm seeing a lot of posts like this. Can you expand on it? I haven't noticed this. No argument. Just curious. The next time universal healthcare gets as close as it did in Bernie's 2016 primary run, Americans might decide to join the rest of the civilized world. I do wonder what would have happened if COVID had hit just a few months earlier. Back when the primaries were just shaping up. Bernie's plan for universal healthcare would probably have been a major selling point for a lot of people. If in November Bernie could have said, as rough as things are now, under my proposal everyone's coronavirus treatments would be covered and paid for by taxes. No exceptions. I think things would have shaken out very differently. As it was, he was already out of the race by the time things got really bad. I genuinely think that might be one of the great what ifs of the next decade of politics. That said, as much as Bernie would have been my first pick, Biden is unreservedly the right choice in November. Get out and vote. Close bracket. Hopefully people will be more conscious of personal space. I'm not a touchy-feely person before this and it's been nice that people aren't invading my bubble hardly now. Same here. I hate touching strangers and for people to be up in my space. I saw a concert a while ago that had a bunch of separate areas for seating rather than people standing around like cattle and I thought they was amazing. It brings in less money sure but the experience seems more worth it imo. Also just the 6 foot apart and not being so cramped anymore is such a big relief. I love being able to have so much space now. Ordering food and drinks at a pub through your phone. While we're talking restaurants. To-go cocktails other shit. I hope they stick around. Anti-vaxxers have been awfully quiet lately. Not really. They will just be anti-maskers for now. When we get a vaccine for COVID, they will be ready. If the vaccine doesn't become legally required in the US, we will probably be one of the last countries to have COVID. People might prefer working from home, which means more jobs and flexibility for businesses. It would be kinda similar to day and night shifts if you know what I mean. Strong chance we're going to institute Mincome in Canada. Would be nice to use it to go back to school. Remote university degrees are going to be a thing too probably. Oh, and office work from home. Man, I've avoided being in public always but now I'm so sick of not going out and hanging with friends. I just hope that by the time I join some university, everything will go back to normal and I will again have to come up with shitty excuses to not meet people. I have started seeing family more regularly online playing games I had no idea about, Jackbox. TV. It's been fun and never would have happened without the pandemic. Plus older family members are bored and want to talk for literally an hour about mundane stuff. I've learned a lot about them that I'd never known my whole life. Plus my dogs get a ton more exercise and I've saved money not going out, plus I am eating healthier with my own cooking. The derailing of facial recognition technology. Even if we're just putting off the inevitable, I'm very okay with delaying it for a few more years. People have realized and hopefully remember that movie stars are not real heroes. Real heroes are those who worked in COVID times, when stars were hiding as their $1 million mansions. Sadly, I think the mass population uses watching other people's great lives as an escape from their own and admire them because it may be a kind of hope for themselves, or it's just something trendy and cool to follow. Individuality isn't celebrated in this society, and instead conformity is the main thing to participate in. This I think will take way longer than we expect. Lower prices on housing are. More help for people with disabilities. Online ordering. Grocery delivery. Food delivery. It's been nice. Saves me energy when I can make an order for something and do a contactless pickup and they just put it in my car when I drive up. Not everyone has energy to spare for simple things like groceries or errands. Rich stay rich. Middle class become lower class. The heightened awareness of cleanliness. I was the kind of guy that sterilized his shopping cart with Clorox wipes before COVID. So, to see so many others finally joining me and my OCD. Excessively wiping down doorknobs and countertops. Vacuuming the inside of the sweeper. Wiping off the handles on our bottles of cleaning products. I love it. Even the most clueless people. Some ladies trying to tell me how we have to wash our hands now. I'm thinking. No. You were supposed to wash them before too, but if it took a pandemic to get you on board, then so be it. Less pollution, more job flexibility, increased focus on mental health and well-being, increased focus on physical health and well-being, increased cleanliness, exodus from cities, creating less traffic in dense population areas. I haven't had to gather with my partner's racist and toxic family. Seeing them would make me have serious panic attacks and depression. They literally use any occasion to gather, and we would feel obligated to go because they would guilt trip my partner if we didn't show up. Then when we did show up, they did nothing but treat us like shitty, and we always felt horrible afterwards. Like they got mad at us for taking vacation during Christmas because we would miss it and that we ruined it for everyone. I'm Muslim, but they've told me that it doesn't matter and I need to support the family. Like, WTF does that even mean? They don't know when any Muslim holidays are either, and they hate it when I talk about being Muslim because they feel it's not appropriate. Now with social distancing, I haven't seen them in almost a year and it's been so much better for my mental health. I haven't had a serious panic attack in months, and my anxiety and depression have improved because I've had time to work on myself. It's literally the only positive thing to come out of COVID for me. Hopefully. A complete reinvention. High school. Between busing, waiting the rest of the class, and passing periods, the amount of wasted time is stunning. Between totally stuck at home and almost going back to normal, there's a stage where there are 5 periods per day, compared to 10 before lockdown. 5 days of school per week, compared to 6 before lockdown, and there's a 15-minute break between periods, compared to before. 0. Cuz FCK Asian school system. Ah, how I miss those times. Better hygiene and personal space standards from businesses for their customers. At first, all of the frantic we do X, Y, and Z to ensure your personal health and safety and maintain the highest messaging was so weird and extreme. But now it just feels nice and standard. Things like having more room in restaurants, entertainment venues, etc. Very thorough cleaning in general. Salt and pepper shakers, condiments, etc. being left off the tables and brought out individually by request. All nice and clean. Contactless delivery. I've grown very accustomed to these wonderful things and hope they stick around. It's hard to lower a standard once your customers have gotten used to higher ones. I think a lot of people are realizing how terrible some of their relationships have been. Whether it be with employers, spouses, family, etc. And I think a lot of people are just taking a lot less tea from people. I also think so many have revisited past hobbies, or taken up new ones, or truly became reacquainted with feeling at home in their homes. I think both these things will result in a lot of people just slowing down and reassessing what or who is worth keeping around in life. I know that's certainly been the case for me. I also think a large number of people who have experienced working from home will now refuse to make commuting a part of their workday, which will eventually lead to a lot of changes to how we work. This may eventually lead to changes to housing prices in different areas, etc. And I think a lot of people are just taking a lot less tea from people. I also think so many have revisited past hobbies, or taken up new ones, or truly became reacquainted with feeling at home in their homes. I think both these things will result in a lot of people just slowing down and reassessing what or who is worth keeping around in life. I know that's certainly been the case for me. I also think a large number of people who have experienced working from home will now refuse to make commuting a part of their workday, which will eventually lead to a lot of changes to how we work. This may eventually lead to changes to housing prices in different areas. Definitely small good habits like more people will start using hand sanitizers or clean their houses a lot more. I also hope people start to wear masks when they're sick with any sort of illness to help prevent spreading it in public, kinda like in Japan. As a legally blind person who's been frustrated for years about job prospects and finding something where I don't have to commute, COVID has been a godsend. Food delivery is great too. The downside is the increased cost of these items factoring in the cost of delivery. I guess if I'm not paying for any car ownership expenses, it probably balances out. Small town CT here. The brewery in our town can now only have people if they serve food. So they collaborated with 2 other local restaurants to provide food and built into the atrium of the Velvet Mill where they are situated. The collaboration and the life that it ignited in that entire building would not have occurred without COVID. Also, I am an artist, and I know that a lot of really great art is being made right now. Things will never be the same, but they may become better than they were. I also hope that in general there will be fewer deaths from other airborne virus or illness this winter season as a result.